Welcome to Season 2, Episode 12 on Ladies Talking Love. In this roundtable episode, we talk about Valentine's Day and specifically about a lot of the expectations that can come with this holiday of love that has the potential to be so fun and fulfilling and just an extra day to show love. But I know for me, there have been lots of expectations over the years that sometimes make it not as pleasant as I think it could be. I loved having Ashley and Amanda on just to share some of their thoughts around Valentine's Day and how they celebrate and how they make it uniquely theirs. It's Ladies Talking Love, a community of women uncovering more joy and fulfillment in sex as we learn from experts and amazing women like you. Together, let's create a world where women's sexuality is celebrated and understood, beginning with our own. I'm your host, Ariel Finlinson. Let's talk love. Valentine's Day is coming up soon, and I hope that you can make this season one of closeness and intimate fun. I'm partnering with the creators of Intimately Us and want to invite you to join them in their 14 Days of Sextimacy Challenge, starting February 1st. They're giving away tons of fun and sexy prizes, including airfare for two to anywhere in the country. All you need to do is download the Intimately Us app, sync with your spouse, and start completing the easy challenges to enter. Besides the chance to win fun prizes, the Intimately Us app is full of great educational information and fun ideas to spice things up in the bedroom. Their app includes sexy bedroom games, foreplay ideas, tutorials, and much more, including great conversation starters to open up discussions about sex and create more connection in your marriage. I love all of the awesome free resources they have on the app, but if you do decide to pay for some of the extra benefits, be sure to use the affiliate link I have posted in the show notes. But without further ado, let's talk love. I'm so glad to have Amanda and Ashley joining me on Ladies Talking Love today. Thanks for joining me, guys.
You bet.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead and let's have you both introduce yourselves.
I'm Amanda. I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm currently a student studying very slowly for a social work degree and an ASECT certification. I'm hoping to do clinical and advocacy work at the intersection of sexuality and mental health. I'm a mother of 5, ages 6 years to 17 years. I currently work in retail, which is a fun new experience for me. I have kind of the focus of like facing my fears, which has been good for me. I am married to my best friend, which is cheesy to say, but it really is true. We recently became urban cliff dwellers in the downtown Salt Lake City area. Heights is one of my intense fears, so that's been really interesting for me to live in a high rise. In my spare time, I love to hike, and I also have a goal of getting my kids outside for 1,000 hours in 1 year, which hasn't happened yet. But every year I start over and keep trying to get them out more.
I thought you meant this year. It hasn't happened yet. I'm like, well, good. It's only
so we started trying a couple years ago and just hasn't ever panned out. But it's someday I have this dream that we're going to get out that much.
Oh, that's awesome.
My name is Ashley Bassett. I also live in Salt Lake City, really close to downtown. Luckily, also got to marry my best friend, which is like the biggest miracle of my life, I feel like. We met on a backcountry ski trip in the Tetons, and he was doing these really hot 360s, and I thought I should marry him, and so I did. We've lived in Salt Lake mainly because of the skiing. Chose to go to grad school here because of that. And we have 4 daughters with a surprise daughter on the way. They all ski and bike, and we love being outside together. I don't know if we get 1,000 hours, Amanda, but I should definitely tally it up. That'd be interesting to see.
I have extra charts if you want one.
Done and done. But yeah, that's me.
Oh, that's so awesome. Thanks so much for joining me. We're going to jump into Valentine's Day since it's coming up. And I just love hearing people's different thoughts on how they celebrate, if they celebrate, what their thoughts are. So let's go ahead and just start off with what are kind of your feelings around Valentine's Day?
Well, a couple of years ago, this couple that we knew who didn't have kids called us and said, "Do you guys celebrate Valentine's Day?" I was like, "Yeah, who doesn't?" And they said, "We don't. Can we babysit?" And I said, "Absolutely,
You're
you
like,
can."
done.
Yeah, it was such a no-brainer. And, and they're like, "We just don't like the cliche waiting in line at a restaurant that we could go to tomorrow or yesterday." And I love all holidays. I love anything that makes anything special. And I definitely get the sentiment of it being commercialized, or if your husband doesn't show appreciation for you 364 days and shows up with flowers, it doesn't mean anything. But I love the opportunity to show extra love and do something extra for somebody that I really care about, my husband and my daughters included. Because I think we all need to be celebrated. And I think it's awesome to be able to celebrate love and relationship.
Yeah.
My thoughts on Valentine's Day, when I was thinking about it earlier, I was like, I don't know if I have a lot, but this is bringing things up. Growing up, Valentine's Day was like this day that I kind of celebrated my friendships, like all of them, mostly platonic friendships, especially with women friends. I think I used to make little gifts for them and we would plan breakfast or something. I think it was kind of like a rebellion against the whole, like you need to have this romantic partner. And so it became like a positive in that way that I would just celebrate my other friendships. But also I'm remembering that, and this is something I have continued, but my mom had a tradition of the Valentine varmint, which is something she totally just made up. And it would come poop on our pillows, which was like Hershey's Kisses, which is so hilarious and silly.
The grandfather of the Elf on the Shelf is that what you're telling
The
us?
Valentine varmint.
Okay.
The Valentine varmint. So yeah, my mom is super fun and creative. And so the Valentine varmint would come poop on our pillows. First it would make our beds. If our bed wasn't made, the varmint would make our beds and then, leave the chocolate and then usually some other little gift like a t-shirt or something. And it was always really fun because we'd come home from school and, discover that on our bed. So.
Oh, I love that so much.
Yeah.
I love that. I feel pretty similar. For a long time, I didn't really like Valentine's Day just because it felt like, going back to Ashley's comment, it's like, it's an excuse not to show love 364 days out of the year. And then to be like, oh yeah, I love you. And I feel like that's why I didn't like it, but it's kind of transformed into, this is an extra special day that I can set aside to show some extra love. And I love to include my kids in that. I probably could do better at including my spouse, to be perfectly honest. I feel like we haven't done the best at planning out Valentine's days, but we'd love to do it as a family with a special dinner and like little gifts for each other and Valentine's. And so that's been really fun. Do you guys have any memorable Valentine's days?
I have a couple quick ones. In high school, like our office, became like a floral department of everybody getting flowers for their girlfriends. And you'd get so excited if you got a note on your locker that you needed to go down. And it was this huge deal. And I thought it would be so funny to give him his gift in a wrapped tampon box. And I just thought I was like the greatest thing in the world for doing that. So that's one. But when my husband and I dated, like I said, we met on a ski trip, and then I was living in Utah, he was in Idaho. And we finally went on a first date, and it actually wasn't that great. There was so much build up to it, talking on the phone, and then it was kind of like, oh, okay. And then 3 days later was Valentine's Day, and he, because I'm a weirdo, had emailed about a Fiber One cereal that I really liked, and he made me this super cool card and had his mom bring a card and a box of Fiber One, like wrapped in this beautiful gold bow to me, like at work on Valentine's. And I was like, oh, okay. And I wouldn't have wanted flowers from him. I wouldn't have wanted chocolates, but seeing like a personal thing that he had noticed and like paid attention to was huge. And so I think because my husband and I don't have expectations of a big gift or a super romantic gift, if it's just something small, we get way more out of that than I would like 12 dozen roses. But our first married Valentine's, we were living in the basement apartment of my parents, actually, and everybody was gone for the weekend except us, and it was like our first Valentine's, and it was going to be super romantic. And I invited somebody to come hot tub with us, and like Bobby was there when I was inviting them, and he's like, it's Valentine's night. Like you're inviting them to hot tub with us. And I was like, yeah, why? And then I was like, oh, okay, I'll take it, but I like hadn't even thought of it. And he had like built up this big romantic night. And so I remember getting out of it with a text, but I just always felt so funny that I didn't realize, oh, I'm married now. This is going to be very different than like a gift in a tampon box.
That's funny.
I haven't always been the genius you see before you.
Oh, that's so good. I think one reason I kind of shifted it to more of a family day and with my kids is I think I just had a lot of unmet expectations for a lot of Valentine's days that weren't very pleasant. And so I would love to maybe transition into thinking a little more like, what can I do special for my spouse? Because I've loved celebrating it with my family, but it's been enough years that I can maybe like branch it out to more of a spouse day too, instead of like, don't do something because it's so cliche. Like,
yeah. You kind of take turns being in charge of the date or like, who's going to plan a surprise? And maybe we have forgotten to do it. I'm winking at my husband. Maybe that's happened a time or two, and it's fine. Like there's no like pressure with it. But I love cooking. It's definitely like one of my love languages. So I'll always try to make like a new, really cool dessert for Valentine's Day. We share it with our kids, of course, but it's like, he knows it's like a special thing for him, I guess.
I love that. I think the small things are so good because I think that's one reason why the unmet expectations were so hard, because everywhere you see it's so like big and people make such a big deal out of it. And so then there was a lot of pressure for me, and I struggle with anxiety already. So when you put that on for a special holiday, it's like, oh man, I'm done for. Like it's just hard to know what to do or to feel pressure. And that always ruins it. If I feel like it should be a certain way, it's bad.
Well, like one year I literally had him sit on the couch and I had written a bunch of like really cheesy lines from love songs and kind of mashed them up. And I have the horrific voice. And his gift was like that I sang the lines to him and he had to figure out what song it was. It was like 7 minutes of kind of being humiliated, but we just laughed the whole time. Didn't cost money, but they were like personal lines. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think if we do build it up too much, we're missing that it's just a person we're trying to show extra love to. And it becomes about, well, what does everybody else think I gave my husband? And it's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They don't feel it.
Yeah. And I love your story of like the fiber one. Like, I just want to be thought of and have you think of me.
And know that you have paid attention to something that I like.
Exactly.
Well, you're inspiring me, Ashley. I love like all these.
Do you need some fiber one? I can bring it.
I just love all these little, and you and Bobby are really funny. Like your whole family. The Bassett's are awesome.
Crazy.
And hilarious and
crazy.
So fun. And I love it. I love that that your celebration is just so uniquely you guys. I think that's awesome.
Oh, thanks, Amanda.
No, it's so good. And I think that's a big thing that I'm taking away from this right now too, is like, make it ours. Don't look from side to side what other people are doing, because what's most important is what's meaningful and fun for you, whether you decide to celebrate with your spouse or with your family or both. Like whatever works for you is the most important thing and takes away that pressure too.
Yeah.
If you were to have an ideal Valentine's Day, what would it look like?
So I have been wanting to do this date with my husband for months, but we keep trying to find a time that works. We both work. I'm in school. We have all these kids and
I'll babysit.
Thanks, Ashley.
Where's that couple who doesn't celebrate Valentine's Day?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, no kidding. They live in Bountiful. They will drive.
Yeah, so I know what it would be. We both love hiking. That's been a big fun thing for the two of us. And so like a hike and then a trip to the hot springs would be ideal to me. Like I think that'd be so fun. And then probably some good food in there somewhere.
Yeah, not a trip or a good date without good food, right? That's actually not true. It can be a good date without good food, but I love food just all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think because it's in February, we would definitely have like an amazing ski day or at least ski morning. And when we have a good ski day, we've never done couples therapy, but every time after, I'm like, whatever people pay for couples therapy, I hope they get out of it what we just got out of this. Because it is like, I like love him so much when we ski together. It is that and mountain biking. It's so cool. So we would definitely do that, have like an amazing lunch or something, have our kids in there at some point, maybe make a family dessert or have dessert together. And then the kids would go to bed. And then we could have, the rest of the evening together. Nice and romantic, like.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, good food, good skiing. That's it.
You guys are giving some good ideas. I have no idea what a perfect one. Right now, I'm still in the little kid phase. So I'm like, I just want my kids not to fight for a whole day, and I'd be really happy if it wasn't whining or fighting. That'd be great.
I have to disappoint you, Ariel, though, because my kids still fight. I don't know if that ends.
Oh, is the whining better? Just tell me the whining's better. No. Oh.
About dumber things.
Yeah. I think the whining gets better. The whining gets better.
Debatable.
Oh no. So that would definitely be part of a good Valentine's Day for me.
Yeah.
Let's take all that out. The other year, just at like a Target, that dollar section, I got a little mailbox for Valentine's Day. So it's fun to like put letters in there to each other and read them, and just kind of doing little things, I think, that show love. One of our favorite traditions, I think I shared this one last year on the round table, but we love to make a heart on the floor with painting tape. And then everyone takes a turn sitting in the heart, and you tell them things that you love about them. And so
I love that.
That's a fun one that we like to do. And yeah, just to think of something, like Ashley said, like I would love to do something that's just with my husband that we both love to do and just connect that way. Would probably be an ideal Valentine's Day for me.
I forgot to say, and hot tub, because that's always really nice.
Especially after skiing.
After skiing, it's like nothing better.
Oh, that's awesome. So do you have any traditions that you do every year for Valentine's Day to celebrate with your family or with your spouse?
We always get our girls and I think it's because my parents would always get me and my brothers like balloons and a little something. We'll always try to have a special breakfast. Like they love crepes. So we'll have crepes, and like each plate is a heart plate, with balloons, something. But besides that, it's always we just kind of always do different things. I wouldn't say we have a set, here's that one thing we do.
Does the Valentine varmint come to your house, Amanda?
It does. Yeah. And so whenever my kids were younger, like before they went to school, they would get to help be the varmint and like make their siblings' beds and then leave the chocolates and a little present, which was really fun for them. It was like to get to participate in an act of love, as the younger sibling too, who like gets less control over things, I guess. So that was always fun. And now they're all in school. So then I just do it.
I love that.
You get to be the varmint.
I get to be the varmint.
I love it. Do you have any other set traditions, or is it just kind of whatever happens that day?
Yeah, no other set traditions, but this is brought up. My husband and I have this notebook that back in the beginning of our marriage, we would, give each other cards. So quick backstory, my husband and I were pen pals for 5 years before we got married. And so we have like the 5 years of letters. And so the letter writing, note writing has always been like a big thing for us. And eventually we just got this notebook that we will pass back and forth. And like the majority of the notes, I have to say, are like apology notes, which I think is great. That, we'll apologize and share our love in that notebook. So that gets passed back and forth. And I think typically it makes an appearance on Valentine's Day.
Oh, I love that. What a fun thing. We touched on this a little bit, but how do you guys deal with the expectations of Valentine's Day to like not get caught up in them or be able to do what you decide and not feel like it has to be big or has to be a certain way?
I think for us, because we know each other, it's never been about anybody else. And I don't know that, I'm trying to think if I've ever felt big pressure. I know he has, like, as a guy, he's like, no, it's supposed to be like really romantic. And I'm like, no, like as long as it's us, I really don't care. And I think because I sincerely have felt that way, I think there have been times, especially maybe early on, that there was more of an expectation from him, like pressure from him. But I don't think that's a good question. I just don't think we've ever had we just try to make it special and unique. And some years it's definitely been bigger and some years it's smaller, but we just kind of know where we're at, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I texted him today because this thing came up and I was like, hey, we could do this for Valentine's Day. It's a concert. And I was like, it could be our gift to each other and we'll be done, you know, as far as like a gift. And he's like, oh, okay. But so just little things, I guess. I don't know.
No, I like that. And I liked how you said too, with that you guys switch off, right? You'll kind of
Mhm.
switch off who plans it, which one of the girls last year mentioned that too. And I really like that idea because I feel like for so long, in my view, too, part of my expectations that were really harmful is like my significant other when I wasn't married or my husband now should plan this big thing for me. And then if they didn't, it was like, what? You don't
Right.
love me, you know?
Uh-huh.
So I think that is so great to kind of take it and switch off or decide what you want to do. Or if one of the partners wants to plan it, maybe give them some ideas. This is what I would like. This is what would be great to do.
Totally.
So I love that.
Maybe we're in the same boat as Ashley and her person, because I think we were just really good friends from the start. And there wasn't that, like, the expectations have never been there of like, this is what I need you to do because this is what everyone else does. Like, I guess that's just not been a thing for us.
I wish that hadn't been for me. I think part of it is though too, because I've been working on it for a long time, but I'm just not good at talking about my thoughts or like what I expected. And I had a lot of expectations I didn't even know I had. So do you think a lot of that just came because you knew each other? Like you didn't need to have something big because you knew what you both would be okay with?
I think for me, it comes back to that whole like Valentine's being an excuse for not expressing love the other days of the year. And I feel like the love is there the rest of the days. So there's not like, it's not this big expectation for that one day, because I think we're pretty frequent with expressions of love. So maybe that helps. Maybe that's the key. It's the secret.
Yeah.
Don't save it for one day.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Otherwise it becomes this Hail Mary holiday that like everything depends on. And it's the same 24 hours as any other day that you could show that love and appreciation. And it's just like a huge cherry, I think, that can be on top of, I mean, it's like sex. Like if nothing else, if you haven't connected at all during the day, then there is this weird pressure or expectation. But if you've served each other during the day and have flirted, you know, like built up whatever, then you would want to have a special finish to a day.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And even just from my background and my anxiety that came into marriage, I feel like I felt that more as I've learned to trust the love of Kyle, like, which sounds so weird, but that was a big thing for me, just with the way some of the things that happened in my past. It was hard to trust that someone would love me day in and day out. And it's not a guaranteed, but to be able to trust that and feel safe so that throughout the year, when those big days come, I feel like that has helped the expectations a lot. I can't remember if I've mentioned this before, but like one year for Christmas, he got me some new underwear because I really needed some new underwear, like my exercise underwear that I wore. I just really need, and I was like so thrilled because he had noticed and he knew I needed it. And so just like feeling safe, I didn't need a big thing. I just needed to be noticed. I didn't need something expensive.
Totally.
And so I think that's a huge point you guys have hit on. Just having that stable relationship and connection can make these holiday expectations be not as hard. And like you said, it can be a cherry on top, just like sex, like something, and the extra day to show a little extra something, but it's not out of the ordinary because you're already showing love these other days of the year.
It's not going to make or break anything.
Yeah.
If you haven't already done those things, it's not like, oh, you've been so mean the last 4 months, but thanks for the roses. I do love you and you love me. You must love, and I think that's why the expectation isn't there, because it doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
Like you don't expect oh, now he's going to show love because he already is, or you already are. Hopefully, ideally,
Yeah. Yeah.
he is perfect. But
Yeah.
Was it ever hard for either of you to like accept the love from your spouse and to recognize that what they were showing was their love?
We've recently been doing just a lot of work in our family around just family dynamics. I think COVID has taken a toll on families, and it has been, I don't know, in some ways, like maybe a good refiner of like bringing to the surface places that need to be worked on. And I think that has brought up for me, recognizing my husband shows love through service, like acts of service. And that hasn't always been recognized by me. And I think vice versa, just I think it maybe takes a little effort and work to notice how we show love and how we receive love.
How did you notice that it was service? How did you oh, that's how he's showing me love?
I mean, I think he just straight up said it. I think through some different discussions that were kind of heated, just, expressing emotions and feelings and being like, oh, okay, this is why you work so hard, because like that is how you express love.
Oh, I love that.
that's a tricky question. And I don't think it's ever, I think we have kind of similar love languages, Bobby and I, but I think our marriage was based so much on a friendship before it turned romantic that there's ever hard times. I honestly mentally go back to that ski trip and I can see us sitting in a tent for a week in the Tetons, freezing cold and skiing, and just think like, what did I care about then with him? And it's like, oh, he was a nice friend and I cared about him. I cared about him as a person because I had no expectation of how he felt about me. So then when he did express interest in me, it was like so exciting. And I can't think of a time that I had a hard time accepting his love.
That's so good to have both of your different perspectives on that. And just for Amanda, it sounds like it's been a lot of like conversations and learning how you show love and learning to notice that. Did I paraphrase that correctly?
Yeah. And I think, there have been lots and lots of expressions of love, like in all different ways. But I think understanding what comes from love isn't always apparent, I guess.
What about, it sounds already like you don't have many expectations for Valentine's, which I love so much, and I'm getting there. But what about with expectations that may come up sexually? How have you guys worked through that?
I think my husband and I definitely do on Valentine's Day. Like, this is that day, and we're being all sorts of romantic. Of course, that's going to happen, even if we're dead tired. We were talking though, where we had a set of friends that we would just flop nights babysitting for them. So they'd watch our kids, the night before Valentine's, and we'd do theirs. And we'd like gone out to dinner and came back and we're like, let's make brownies real quick. And then like had an amazing romantic experience. And then we're like, oh yeah, we have kids. We have to go like pick up our kids. But it was like not expected to happen then. And it was one of the funnest sexual Valentine's Day experiences because it wasn't like, okay, it's the end of the night and now this.
Okay, here we go.
But like last year, some of us had been talking like on a Marco Polo, like, what's something fun we can do for our husbands? What if we're the ones who surprise him with lingerie for ourselves, and different things. And it made it so fun last year to come in still with like a cute romantic thought, but like really wanting to have a wonderful, intimate new experience. And that I did have a big expectation, but it went really great. So it was fulfilled. So I guess I don't mind having that expectation. I can't say it would always be fulfilled, but it was such a fun, intimate, romantic experience. But I think because I had the expectation, I like did the mental prep for it and fun things. And he hadn't bought any of them. So I think for my husband, he was thrilled to be like, whoa, Ash really wants this. And I don't even have to start anything. So I think that for him was the biggest part of the gift.
What did you do to like prep?
Oh, I bought some things. I bought like a new pretty outfit. We were at a condo with our kids. So it was like, okay, we got to get the kids in.
Yeah, get them to bed, get them to bed.
But it was all during the day. I knew that was going to happen. So just like thinking great positive thoughts and fun thoughts and thinking of past positive intimate experiences, just like really set it up, and it was great. It was really great.
I love that. Yeah. Cause I know for me on certain holidays, it's like, oh, I have to have sex or cause it's like, oh, it's expected. And
Right.
I love that sometimes I think I don't do the prep. I just am expecting that I have to perform well versus like the mental prep or maybe getting something fun. And I think I love that. I think that probably helped prepare a lot for both of you to have him be surprised and have you have done some of the background work.
He was totally thrilled because I think he felt like this is great. Like, of course I wanted this, but it's not like I'm the only one who wants this.
Yeah. She wants to be close to me and we can,
Totally.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I was going to say, as we're kind of just closing up, what tips would you give to people who maybe feel a lot of expectations and pressure for those expectations for Valentine's Day or for sex on Valentine's Day? What would just be some tips that you would give them?
I would say just talk about it. Just, express your anxieties to your spouse and open up about that and say, this is, maybe just like telling each other, this is what I'm expecting, or this is what I'm hoping.
I think Amanda nailed it because I think as you get more into a relationship, there's certain things more, but also the more you get into a relationship, the more stresses there can be as far as having more kids or more bills or more things that are going to pull you away from what can I do to make this one day special? And maybe some years it just can't be, like there's too much going on. And the best part will just be that you get to sit down for 5 minutes without kids.
Yeah.
And being okay with that. But I think Amanda nailed it that we and our husbands can't expect us to read each other's minds. So just saying, my favorite Valentine's gift from you, or if I could choose what you would do for me this year, this is what it would be. And be realistic. Don't expect something you're not also willing to give, but keep it simple.
Great thoughts. I think it's so good to keep it simple and talk about it. Cause I know for me, that was one of my problems is I was like, this is how it was done in my family, or this is what my dad did for my mom. So I'm expecting you to like make a special dinner, do whatever, instead of just saying, I'd like a nap and I'd like, is that okay?
Exactly.
One last thought I had was just recognizing, as my husband and I have tried to blend expectations from our, families and growing up backgrounds, whatever, is just starting like a new tradition. And traditions can be so tiny. Like they can be like a little, like a really small thing. Like, the varmint is like a really simple thing, but it just makes that day different, unique. It's like, it could be a new start. Just be like, you know what? We're going to start doing this on Valentine's Day. And then that's the expectation, is just that one little thing. And then when it happens, you're like, oh, yay, it was Valentine's Day. So that's my thought, is maybe use it as a time to change expectations or start something new.
No, I love it. Thank you so much. This has been great to have you both on. Thanks for sharing your thoughts.
Thanks so much, ladies.
Fun.
I hope that this roundtable episode just gave you some good conversation starters to talk about with your partner to figure out what type of traditions do we want to create for Valentine's Day. I think that was my biggest takeaway from this conversation, was just truly making Valentine's Day a holiday that is unique to you and not worrying about how anybody else celebrates or how you maybe used to celebrate in your family. Not that you can't bring some of those traditions, but just making it very unique to you and your family and not worrying about what outside people may be doing. And I hope that you don't make a lot of the mistakes I made of having all these expectations and not voicing what I thought. And there were a lot of disappointed years. A lot because of my own fault of not talking about what I was thinking or what I was feeling. But I hope that this Valentine's Day is great for you and you're able to celebrate in a way that is unique to you, but a way that's fulfilling, and that you're able to just shower a little more love on your kids and partner and the people that are special to you in your life. Thanks for talking love. Thank you to all of you who listen and join me on this journey, and to our Ladies Talking Love team who make the podcast possible. Thanks to our sound wizard, Kimberly Demers, our newsletter guru, Lauren Barton, and our miscellaneous task whiz, Jana Norman. As always, thanks for talking love.